My neighbor stared into my window every single night, but he wasn't alive. Elias never paid much attention to his neighbors. He was the kind of guy who kept to himself, quiet job as a graphic designer, fueled by late-night work sessions, with the lights finally going off around 2 a.m. When he moved into the small, aging apartment complex at the edge of the city, he didn't expect much more than thin walls and creaky pipes. And honestly, that suited him just fine. But on his third night there, he noticed something strange. His blinds were open just a crack, just enough to see the building directly across from his. It was identical to his own, a mirror of old brick and dim windows. But one window in particular caught his eye, the top right corner apartment. The lights were off, but a tall figure stood at the glass, facing him. Elias froze. The figure didn't move. It didn't sway. It didn't even tilt its head. It just stared. He tried to rationalize it. It had to be someone who just happened to be standing there. An illusion caused by the glow of streetlights. Maybe they were smoking, lost in thought, or just zoning out. He quickly shut the blinds, trying to brush it off. But the very next night, at 12:14 a.m. exactly, the figure was there again. Same height, same rigid posture, same unnerving stillness. Elias felt a cold prickle crawl under his skin. He instinctively stepped back from the window, even though the man, or whatever it was too far away to see into his apartment clearly. He slowly reached for the blinds and closed them with a shaky hand. He didn't sleep well that night. Days passed with no further incidents. Elias managed to convince himself he'd imagined it all, or that the strange neighbor had finally moved out. Life returned to its quiet, predictable rhythm, until one night, he forgot to close his blinds again. The time was 12:14 a.m. He didn't set an alarm. He didn't plan to be awake. But he jolted upright as if something had whispered directly into his ear. His chest tightened with a sense of dread he couldn't explain. He slowly, reluctantly, looked toward the window. The figure was there. Same place, same posture, hands hanging limply at each side. Its face, if you could even call it a face, was turned directly at him. Elias felt a rush of cold adrenaline surge through his body. He crept closer, eyes narrowing, trying to make out any features. The room across the alley was completely dark. The only light came from the faint yellow street lamp below, just enough to outline the human shape. He lifted his phone. Maybe he could zoom in, get a better look. But the moment he raised the camera, the figure twitched. It wasn't much, just the smallest, most unnatural jerk of the head, like a marionette puppet shifting on its strings. Elias gasped and dropped behind the couch, his heart racing so fast it felt like it might burst right out of his chest. He stayed there, crouched in the dark, for what felt like an eternity, but was probably half an hour. When he finally got the courage to peek over the edge again, the window was empty. The next morning, Elias marched straight to the apartment manager's office. The woman running the place was in her 60s, with glasses hanging low on her nose. "There's a guy in the apartment across from me," Elias said, trying to keep his voice steady. "He just stands there every night, stares at my window." She frowned, looking up from her paperwork. "Which unit?" "Top right corner," Elias said. "In the second building." Her expression changed instantly. All the color drained from her face. "That unit's empty," she whispered, her voice barely audible. Elias waited for the punchline, the dismissal, the "oh sorry, I must have the wrong one." But she just stared at him, her eyes wide. "It's been empty for 4 years." He felt something cold and heavy crawl down his spine. "Then someone's in there," he insisted. "Someone keeps showing up at the window." She shook her head slowly. "No one has a key except management, and we haven't entered that unit since last spring." Elias left her office feeling even worse than before. That night, he kept all the blinds shut tight and turned on every single light in his apartment. He tried to work, tried to distract himself with anything, but by midnight, he was pacing back and forth, his nerves feeling like exposed wires. He told himself not to look. He told himself to stay away from the window. But at 12:14 a.m., a soft clicking sound echoed through his apartment. A quiet, subtle tap. Tap, tap, tap. Elias froze mid-step. The noise was coming from the window. He took one small, hesitant step toward the blinds. The tapping continued, slow, rhythmic, almost gentle, like someone was lightly knocking with a single fingertip. He reached for the cord, his hand trembling uncontrollably. He pulled. The blinds lifted just a few inches. Two pale eyes stared back at him from the other side of the glass. Not from the building across the alley, From his window, Elias stumbled backwards so fast he crashed into his desk, knocking over his chair. His breath broke into panicked, ragged gasps. He scrambled to his feet, fumbling for his phone, and dialed 911. "There's someone outside my window," he yelled into the phone. "They're right there. They're watching me. Just send someone." He backed into the hallway, pressing himself against the far wall, his eyes locked on the window. But the moment the dispatcher said help was on the way, the tapping stopped. The eyes vanished. The window was empty again. When the police arrived, they thoroughly checked the entire apartment. The fire escape, the alleyway below, even the roof. They found nothing. No footprints. No sign of forced entry. No indication that anyone had been climbing the building. The officers were kind but skeptical, assuring him it must have been a reflection, a shadow, or just stress playing tricks on his mind. But Elias knew what he saw. Those eyes weren't a reflection. They were inches from his face. Elias didn't sleep for 2 days straight. He stacked furniture in front of the window. He slept in the hallway with the lights on. But every night at exactly 12:14, he felt it. The unmistakable sensation of being watched. Even without looking, he felt it. The dread grew so heavy it felt like the air in the room had thickened, making it hard to breathe. Finally, on the third night of no sleep, Elias decided he had to confront it. His logic was crumbling. He was exhausted and terrified, but something deep inside him whispered that this wasn't going to stop until he faced it head-on. So at 12:10 a.m., he stood by the window. His hands were shaking. His heart was pounding a frantic rhythm against his ribs. The blinds were closed. The clock on his phone hit 12:14. Silence. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, a shadow moved behind the blinds. Not outside. Inside. Elias's heart convulsed as a long, impossibly bony hand slid down from the top, reaching from behind the blinds, like something had been hiding on the ceiling, just waiting. He stood frozen, unable to move, unable to breathe. The blinds flipped upward violently, and the figure from the opposite building was there. In his apartment. It was bent at impossible angles, its head hanging too far to the side, its eyes wide open without a single blink. Up close, Elias realized those weren't normal eyes. They were dull, clouded, utterly dead. The figure leaned in until it was inches from his face. Then, in a voice that sounded like old metal dragging across concrete, it whispered, "You shouldn't have looked back." The lights in the apartment blew out, plunging the room into absolute darkness. Elias didn't scream. He didn't run. The neighbors said they heard nothing but a soft thud. The police found his apartment empty. No sign of struggle, no forced entry, and no Elias. But at 12:14 a.m. every night, some residents swear they can see a new figure standing in the opposite building's window. Tall, still, and unblinking. And if you ever move into that complex, it will stare at your window, too. Thanks for watching. If this story sent a chill down your spine, don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more tales from the dark. See you next time.